Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's CW webinar. Thank you for joining us. Whether you're dialing in from the Home Office, at home, not the Home Office, not the government, there might be, but I doubt it, from the office, at home, or on the move, it's great to see so much interest in the future of AI in business, certainly one of the most talked about topics at all of our events this year. My name is Sally Berkery. I'm the Managing Director of CW, and this afternoon we're excited to bring you practical insights on integrating AI in marketing, sales, and CRM, moving beyond the hype to what really matters for organisational success. To do this, we're joined by Maria-Liisa Bruckert, co-founder and CEO of IQONIC.AI, who will be sharing her expertise on identifying the right AI use cases, setting achievable goals, building cross-functional alignment, and avoiding common pitfalls in customer-facing functions. It will be an interactive session and we'll have definitely time for Q&A towards the end. So do jot down your thoughts as we go through in the Q&A panel at the bottom or in the chat. And if you experience any technical issues, the CW team is on hand in the chat to help you. We hope you'll walk away from today's session with practical frameworks and strategies to start building real, scalable impact with AI in your organisations. And now, without further ado, I'm delighted to hand over to you, Maria-Liisa. Thank you.
Thank you, Sally, as well. And hello to everyone. Great you're joining the webinar today. We will, as Sally said, go through some AI topics today because everyone, of course, is talking about AI. We have it everywhere, but to make it happen successfully for you and your organization, it is very, very important to take care of some things, to exactly know the frameworks and to create use cases that really make a difference. So I would say, of course, we start with a short introduction of myself. Why am I doing this kind of webinar today? So I'm Maria. I'm founder and managing director of IQONIC.AI, a company that is doing different AI solutions over 5 years now in the market. We have done different projects all over the world, focusing on how we can help companies to create data, to work with that data, to find the right use cases in AI, but also to make, of course, sales and CRM going to next stage and next level. So for today, of course, it's not, or it is about giving you a kind of framework to do these kind of AI strategy things for your company and your different divisions. So we want to focus on these 3 steps today. First, one of the most important things in the overall process of integrating AI to your company and company strategy is, what are your clear goals? Defining goals sounds very easy, but it is very impactful because if you have the right goals, it is influencing extremely which tool you should use and what the results can be at the end of a project like that. Second, mapping your data. So what data is really needed? Of course, we all talk about we need data strategy. We have a lot of people in the company working with data, but what is the data set we really need to achieve your goals then? That can be quite different. And of course, you also need the infrastructure to work with your data. So we focus on that a little bit. And then third, of course, the concrete use case. An AI tool can just work as good as clear the use case is. We have thousands of tools outside, ChatGPT, for example, that can help in a lot of ways, but there are also things it's not able to do. So it's always pretty important to identify your clear use case and put it in a kind of business case, so we make sure to understand how our idea with our data can then really lead into business impact. So to make sure we're all talking about the same thing, I wanted to start with a short Mentimeter. So it would be great if you can scan. I hope you still see the QR code here. You can just scan it with your phone and we will start with 4 short questions. So I will wait 10 more seconds so everyone can use the phone and scan the Mentimeter code. So then going to the very first question, and this is very important because we all talk about AI, but what are your real thoughts about AI? Please let us know. Just put in some ideas, things that are interesting for you about the field. And what we will eventually learn out of that is that it can be quite different. as I said, AI is a huge field. We have so many different technologies. We have so many different expertise. We have so many different use cases. So we have to make sure that we have a base in the company, in our teams we talk with. So this is a question you can easily kick off every project with, to make sure all of you are talking about the same things, same goals, and are going in the same direction. So then, do you really use AI today? I would put ChatGPT out of the conversation because this is, I think, something that showcased a pretty good AI thing in the past. So they ramped up, they came out with a new technology, and it was used in the mass market. But why was it? Because it was pretty easy, first of all, to use it, and there was a clear benefit out of that. So there are other solutions that are able to do the same thing, but very often we are not implementing them into our habits. So third, if we are coming more to today's topic, what is one of the main challenges you have currently in the business, or a goal you want to achieve? What are you talking with where AI could potentially help you? That's always a quite interesting question, because I can tell you already, and we will see it later in the webinar, these different goals sounds like, okay, there's different people working on that, different teams, but at least we can use the same technology, the same tools to create the data to help all of them. So what we see here, of course, sales, I can imagine, because we have huge players in the market, a lot of players in the market. So we have to differentiate. And also here, AI really can help us. So let's finish with a question to get more creative. Yeah, if you could wish for one AI tool or one thing you don't have to do anymore on your own in the company, in your daily work, what would that be? Which kind of AI would you like to have in your daily business? Create strategy plans, pretty interesting. Very operational task. That's a good thing, because as long as there are automated processes that really are similar every single time, we definitely have tools to put that. Social media, also something I can totally agree to, because there are new trends every single day. How can we all achieve them? But good thing here also, we have Meter, we have a lot of data. We have also data from very different tools we could use to get kind of ideas, planned blocks. But there's also something I want to point out here from my own experience. So I personally love to use AI to do my LinkedIn posts, because this is something that takes me a lot of time every single day, but it has huge impact, because the reach of LinkedIn is one of the main sales strategies we have in the company. But then LinkedIn recognized, hey, we have our own AI. We don't want people to use ChatGPT. So from technical perspective, they were able to detect if someone is using ChatGPT or not. So they block these kind of posts. So we have to, and this is why I'm mentioning that, also make sure to understand how the systems and players in the world are working, and what we have to take care of. So of course, ChatGPT can create my LinkedIn post now and save time, but I will not get the reach on the platform due to the creation of ChatGPT. So therefore, I cannot achieve my goal, even if the tool is saving me some time. So we always have to be critical at the end. Am I achieving my goal? Because that's money, time is money, and that's always very important in the company. So let me switch back into the presentation. And thanks for joining the discussion so far. So as we said, it's about the marketing part of AI tools today. So what is possible with these kind of tools, and how is marketing really transformed? I always, or usually, use the frame from data to decision, because all big decisions today are focused on data and of course experience, but data can really help us to make sure we understand the decision frame, and also to make sure we are moving the company in the right way. So first of all, we see it here, understand your customer. That's a very important thing. Of course, we all know, okay, this could potentially be my target group, but what do you really know about your target group? Where are they at their life? What is important for them? What is important for them in the next 5 years? Which trends are upcoming? What do they prefer? We have a huge trend in the market, for example, about self-education. So how can you know what your target group is already knowing? So we have a lot of great AI tools really helping you to make sure you understand your customer, and that also helps you to create a path to design new customer groups. So it's kind of segmentation in the existing customers, but also to meet new customer groups. Then, of course, creating content. I mentioned the LinkedIn example, for example, writing text, but also visuals. ChatGPT and other content tools are also able to create your full ideas of your the time frame you're posting, like the content plan. Sorry, I was searching for the word. The most important thing is here you have to know what you want. So if I'm asking ChatGPT, for example, hey, can you create a content plan for me to grow my community? He will give me 10 posting ideas. But if I tell ChatGPT, hey, let's create me a content plan for the profile of this is me, and it's important for me to meet salespeople at organizations like beauty companies from this and this size and this market, of course my content plan is different. So the most important intelligence here is really the so-called prompt engineering. So we have to make sure we use the AIs we have in the right way. Then, of course, personalization is a huge thing in the market. So honestly, a lot of people from personalization and beauty think, okay, if I recommend the right products, that's fine. True, but just from one perspective. Real personalization means you're talking with me as an individual over time. So for example, if you know more about your customers, you can of course adopt these information in every single email. I need to have the feeling that you are always talking to me and that I as a person matter for you as a brand. So we have a huge connection and a huge fit between your values and my values. And then I will not always change my brands. So in these days where we have social media, everything is going very fast. Very like new players are coming up in the market every single day. It's more important than ever to really have connections to your target group and to talk with them in a more or less very personal way. And then, of course, tracking, one of the most important things, because even if you implement a tool, you have to make sure you know the track, right? And not just the track means, okay, I reached my sales goal, for example. You also have to challenge the solution and your team and your perspectives if you really have the right data in place, if it's working exactly on the path you wanted to do, because huge small changes can have huge impact here. It's a wording, it's a color, it's an experience perspective, and you will get different results. So what we learn out of that is, of course, AI can take over a lot of tasks you or your team members had in the past. But the most important thing is we also need new we need to work differently now because we have to challenge, we have to oversee, and we have to put another kind of intelligence into our daily work. So coming back to my LinkedIn post, for example, months ago, I needed to research a lot. I needed to write good sentences. Now, another tool is doing that for me, but it's important now that I can challenge and also improve this kind of frame. But this is a different competence. So very important in the format of using AI tools is also making sure my team can adopt that and my infrastructure is there to really increase the results out of AI. So let's see just a success story. So we have here BSH Group. This is a home appliance, as you can read here, and they wanted to boost their sales. Okay, that's good. So they used personalization tools, and it worked pretty well, as you can see here. Immediately, they raised conversion rates with a huge amount, and also the add to cart rate over 20%, which is amazing in the market, just because they understood how to adopt the visitor's behavior. means not just how many people are coming to my website, it's even more. Where are they clicking? Why are they clicking there? How can I address them better in their point of interest in the moment? Let's see, for example, Klarna. You can see here how much costs they saved. So this is a totally different result because they had a total different goal from the beginning. They wanted to reduce marketing production time and cost. So what they used is generative AI, which is totally different from what we had before. They really wanted to do the whole creation of marketing, content plans, visuals with the AI. So of course, cost saving is coming with you don't need that much people anymore in your company. This is, of course, something you have to discuss from ethical perspective. But the effect you can see here, just if you refer to your goal, is amazing. So what we always have to do with these kind of AI tools is to ask ourselves, okay, we have a goal, we can achieve that, but it's pretty important that we know what is our responsibility on the other side. Because I mentioned the point before, we need new skills in the company. We have to make sure our people understand that. And of course, if jobs are taken over by AI, I have to deal with that. But as I said, that's just an example. This is not what we have to do everywhere. So let's coming back potentially more into different use cases we had here from the beginning. We wanted to talk about CRM, personalization, as I said. So what you can do out of data and in combination with AI, by the way, I personally believe it's more technology. So AI is of course one technology, but we have also other technologies outside that are really good and can already bring impact to your goals and your tasks. So you don't always have to search for AI, it's better to search for technology in general. So for example, if we look at the customer, right? And we see, okay, this is Maria, she ordered this, this, and this in the past. This is the recommendation that was like done to her. And this is what she then really bought. So for example, my routine is pretty easy. I just have a day and a night cream. So for me, if you know that, I'm always just buying these two things, even if you put different or thousands of different products in the recommendation, you understand, okay, we cannot bring her to buy a serum just in the recommendation way. So you have to address me in another way. So this could be, for example, newsletters saying, hey, your wrinkles are getting worse because you're just using day cream, and we know that. So this is how you can address me in a personalized level, in a good or bad, not really bad, but challenging approach. And this is how you can, of course, get higher click rates, because I feel that you're talking with me directly. And on the other hand side, of course, I'm more willing to pay if I feel a pain. So the CRM has very different KPIs and a lot of different potential goals. So this is something you have to keep in mind. Because if I want to adopt a solution, or if I want to optimize for a parameter, it's very important to say, what exactly do you want? If you just say, I want to grow my CRM, okay, fine. We have a lot of tools saying that. But what exactly do you want? Which part of that? Because for every single part of your goal, there would be another use case, and tools or data has to be allocated in a different way. That sounds pretty complex. Honestly, it's not. I just want to make sure you get out of this conversation that it is the most important and time-consuming part of implementing an AI strategy, is to exactly know what you want out of the AI. So let's go and focus on another use case, content generation. We read that before. As I said, okay, if I scale my content for different markets or different platforms, of course I have higher reach. Great, but then I have to ask myself, which part of the content strategy is challenging for me? For me personally, currently 4 of my people are in maternity leave, so I have no one anymore who's doing visuals for me. So I'm working pretty fine by letting ChatGPT and Midjourney create visuals for me. Honestly, when the people are coming back, I need to find different purpose for them, because this is not needed anymore. So why am I telling that? Just even if you have a specific goal or part of your work, make sure you exactly find out which part of your work can be supported. Then use case number 3, just to show you a difference, lead qualification, so more from the B2B perspective. So here we have more the sales focus. We are saying, okay, how can I point out my leads, like whom is really important for me? I have nearly 10,000 people following me on LinkedIn. So how can I know whom should I talk to? So, and there are AI solutions that do the scoring for me. So this can be done for the inbound, but also pointing me out whom should I address to make sure I'm using my reach for the right people. Why is that important? Of course, I can just do 5-6 calls a day. So I need to know where to put my time in, where to focus on, and so I can boost my own efficiency and also my sales pipeline and conversion quality at the end. So here is the example how it's done. I think we can skip that for now. So what is important, as I said, and I really pointed out again, we can read in the chat someone is using AI to scan the skin. This is also something we as IQONIC do, and we will follow on with that example in some minutes. But this is the most important thing. For this technology, and this is important for a lot of different technologies, the same technology can be used with different outcomes. We have to define what is your why and how before. Like, what do you want to achieve and how we are going to do that, and which data are we setting as base for that. So for example, personalization, with personalization, these are like 2 real examples, like KPIs we really created out of projects. So we see, for example, up to 80% higher engagement rates if we use and play with the personalization around the AI. And also we have a pretty high return of investments in comparison to a more generic approach. But let us jump in a bit deeper. So I said I can use this or this part of our work as an example. So we do this kind of skin and hair analysis. So for the end customer perspective, it's pretty easy to understand. You scan, you get the results of these analyses, and then of course you can get recommendations for products, services, or everything else a brand or a company can offer. But here comes the interesting thing. I will show you now 3 brands working with the tool, experiencing a total different project. So we have, for example, Boring Bills, which is an agency. They have beauty brands working on TikTok. So what they wanted to do, they said, okay, TikTok and TikTok Shop, that's a huge thing. There's a lot of reach, a lot of people interacting with our brand every single day, but our scan conversion, not the scan, like our sales conversion is way too low. So what we said is, okay, if we use or directly connect your social media with these kind of analyses, we can ramp up the quality of the people engaging with you. So when they have new videos now on TikTok, the first thing that's happening is people are asked to do the scan. Then they put in their contact information, could be email, could be WhatsApp, could be anything. And from there, they get a product recommendation. In this case, sales was also increasing, but the main difference was we had more than 80% of people entering their point of contact. So normally they have below 1% of people doing something on the website. Then they are going to the website, they are checking around, but then that's it. Now they have more than 80% of people putting in a CRM entry point, and from there they can now start a real retargeting campaign. So they can really create a community, a base, and placing their product in a constant way. So here, engagement and retention was the clear goal that we achieved. We have more than 50,000 scans every single month and created a great story. Then we have the same tool, what I showed you, like the analysis approach, in a very different goal initiation. So now a German, I would say mid-sized company said, okay, we don't have a problem with our engagement. We have a problem in our sales activation. So we said, so we need a lot of people going through the funnel and getting a direct recommendation, because they always had like hair and skin products. They never had supplements. They started this kind of thing, and they said how to get the people on these sites. So we didn't even have the email or the CRM touch point in the funnel. It's really just you do the scan, you get directly the recommendation of one product. So they said should be easy. A lot of people can then definitely put it in. And we have done it. And we changed in the first 3 months the conversion rate up to 18%, which is pretty good. They are pretty happy. So we continued. And after 9 months, we saw that was not a one-time effect. We could also work with like the people are coming back, the people are re-buying the thing because the product is also pretty good. So what we created here with the same technology is a totally different KPI. And now coming to third example, still same technology. We have a company, you can see it here, it's a pharmacy, so kind of a different perspective, saying for us the most important thing is knowledge and trust, right? So we want to create a strong relationship to our customer. We want to create credibility. So they don't even recommend products. They do kind of a content-based strategy, saying, okay, people can, of course, book kind of a meeting to get more expertise, in-store consultations, but at the end, I want the people to learn something, education first for their own. So why have I put these 3 different examples on? All of them went in a workshop beforehand, making sure they understand what they want. So all of them had they asked in the very first moment for the same technology from my side. They said, can I have kind of these kind of skin analyzers? But at the end of the workshop, we had 3 different use cases because everyone was searching for a different outcome. So always when you are searching for AI tools, or when you're thinking about how can technology tools improve my work, make sure, first step always, understanding what do you really want, because the tools have to work differently then. So I would open for a quick round of questions now if you have some regarding these 3 things. I can see one comment already. You can find healthier ingredient alternatives. That's also pretty great. Ingredient replacement tools, and also something worth 2 seconds here, because first trend we saw in the market was definitely personalization, but another trend by now is definitely people want to know about the ingredients. They want to understand how ingredients really match their needs, right? So we have to make sure in the future that we can match people not just to products, also to the ingredients themselves, and give them alternatives. So we need much more information about me. Probably today we know this is Maria, like me. I have dry skin. I'm 32, so this could be relevant products for me. But now time's changing into this kind of ingredient-based approach, saying that, okay, but I prefer natural cosmetic. I have this allergies, and this and this and that is also very important for me. And by the way, this is my budget. So there are a lot of data points like outside around me to definitely let me become your customer and also to work with me over time. So I think that during COVID, we saw a marketing that was pretty much based on influencers, on a lot of how to say that, like putting the price down, and then also be very fast in the first interaction point. But in these days, we have to understand the customers to do segmentation and really bring information about our products into the right segments of our markets. So definitely time to change, and you cannot achieve that without using the right database tools, and they are outside. You just have to implement that. There's another point in the chat. Let me just check it. Do you host introductory workshops on how to leverage AI tools? Yes, because if you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would say no. But I think this is the most important thing to really make sure you create the right vision, strategy, and then find the right tools and use cases for you and your company. So definitely a point. So let me move on a bit because there is some things that's also pretty important for me that you should take away. So I talked a lot about potentials. We talked a bit about use cases that are relevant, and also that, of course, AI is nearly able to do a lot of different things. But let us come to limits, because from technology perspective, I would always tell you it is nearly everything possible. If you want to have a new screen, no issue. If you want me to train a new parameter, no problem. If you want to have a new system, also no problem. We just need time and potentially some money, and of course some data points, but it's possible from technology side. But we have different markets dealing with different ethical components and also with different regulations. This is pretty important to know. So for example, if we use the skin analyzers, if you have a professional company working with you, they would let you know that for every single market you are targeting, there are different rules and there are different data privacy things you have to keep in mind. Of course, it doesn't mean that the technical part of the project is getting too complex, but you have to make sure you discussed about that. We are talking about face, so it's of course ID related, it's personality, it's health related. So data is very high trustworthy, I would say. So make sure you align this kind of tool use also with the alignments you have for data privacy and all these things like the regulations in your company. Of course, now you can think potentially then there would never be a project like that. And honestly, yes, especially with the big ones, we talk sometimes weeks to get to the right privacy, data privacy agreements, which is not that nice, but it's important. You also, if you look at yourself from a generic or personal perspective, you also want to get your data with you. So we have to make sure this is in a good use. Then transparency. It's always important. AI is just as good as the data sets and also as the use case is. So if you haven't put enough effort into creating data sets to train your algorithms, you will have bad quality, you will have bad results. And on the other hand side, if you haven't had a clear use case, you will not achieve the goals because you don't have the clear goals, right? So then we have the whole thing about the ethics. So for example, if you talk about skin, we have different ethical and ethnical groups all over the world. We have to make sure the AI is able to be working with all of them. So Asian skin is different to African skin, male skin is different to women's skin. So we have to make sure we always match that with the right data set in the training. So everyone who is telling you, okay, I have 5,000 data points, that's potentially not enough to have a huge quality, right? Good. So now coming to the probably important part to take away and also discuss probably later on back in your work, how to really develop an AI use case. So first, it's very easy. It's 5 steps. We will go quickly through that. So first, the definition. So what is really the business context we are talking about? Is that something just CRM related? Are we talking about a sales perspective? Are we talking about a new campaign? I have currently a customer, I'm just talking to the marketing team. They don't even care about the sales team. So are you sure you have the right people on board to define the context and what is the thing you want to achieve? Second, map. So which data is there today? Which is not there? What do we need? Which data is exactly needed to fill in the gap to your use cases, and is it validated? So it's not always the full 100% we need. Sometimes, so for example, when we have the recommendation we just discussed before, it's not about putting all your portfolio in that. That's overwhelming for the end customer. Make sure you find the right spots, you find the right resources and also the right things to share, because a clear function, a clear user flow is pretty important, because potentially you work 6 months on the project, but the end customers see the thing for 5 seconds and have to understand that. So it's pretty important to put yourself in the perspective of your customers as well. So then identifying, so what are the opportunities? So we talked about the goal, but we should also make sure every goal has, of course, different sub-goals, and not every sub-goal can be achieved in the same time, right? So we have to make sure, for example, okay, we want the AI to ramp up our sales, but first of all, we want to have more traffic, then we will need to work on the conversion, and then at the end, we need to work on the conversion itself. So it's not having the third or the last step at first. Then prototyping, pretty important. Be fast. Not always create a tool that is super, super big or have 5,000 different tools in your portfolio. Make short tests, go to the market very fast, and try to make sure you learn out of that. You can learn with your database and iterate, validate, and then go on, test again, and so on, to come to the last part. This is scale and rollout. So for example, we have some huge hair brands which have more than 5,000 hairdressers working with them, but we focus on the first 100 at first to make sure, okay, these are very digital adaptive, right? So we start with them, and after that, we will see if we roll out. Because honestly, after the first 50, they said, okay, it's not even usable. So we had to rethink the overall tool. And this is, of course, much better to do that quick and easy. And honestly, of course, we could wait for the feedback of them, but in the data, I see, okay, they're not even using the tool. So I know the tool is not working. So I can be faster than my clients. I can see it, and I can therefore go to them saying, hey, I can see there is an issue, before they're writing a bad or very aggressive email to me. So we also can strengthen our customer relationships or partner relationships by seeing and validating our own data. Yes, and after that, if we see great KPIs, of course we can roll out then all over the world, because the good things about AI is they are very adaptable. So we can focus on different languages. We all have same or similar behaviors. We can easily adopt if there are different behaviors. So this is the good thing about AI. You don't have to implement thousands of different peoples and structures. We can use one tool in our different markets and really use scaling synergies. So here is the thing I want to close the whole thing with before we are going into your final question part. Business model canvas is definitely something most of the people heard before, but I want to bring it back to the discussion, because I think that for AI and use cases, this is pretty important. Even if we had the discussion about use cases, even if we know what we want to achieve, the biggest challenge about AI can be how to put that into our revenue and cost structure. Because there are two ways. AI can be very cost intensive, so we have to make sure we get benefit out of that. But whom should pay for that? Is your end customer really paying for these kind of new services? Is the value strong enough? Most of the times it's not. So we have to create the tools in a way that costs are pretty low. So even if you have first effects, it makes sense for you. It is scalable, so that's sometimes easy, but here comes the point. Tools, especially CRM or target group tools, they require a specific infrastructure from your side. So if you haven't have a CRM tool already, if you are not working with segmentation, you also do not need the add-on data. We have to discuss the ground base of the technology in these kind of meetings as well. Because as I said with ChatGPT, if ChatGPT is creating an amazing LinkedIn post for me, if I don't use LinkedIn and if I don't have a community there, the post can be good, but I will not see the effects. So we have to understand how the AI is working in the system, what is really relevant, and what is really achievable. And based on that, we can then bring the AI as an add-on. Most of the time, the AI itself is just a game changer if we made sure that our infrastructure is ready to go. And then we can also discuss what we need to change, where to adopt. Probably another example, if you create data in your marketing campaigns, that's pretty nice. But if you don't have the other side using this data, for example, with Google, you can have Google Ads. These are creating some data for you. If you don't use Google Analytics or other analytical tools, you cannot work with data. So there is an infrastructure required to make a benefit out of these data. So this is something always pretty important. Just having a web shop doesn't mean you have an intelligent web shop that can work with data or that have data spots already. Then last point I want to focus on is the segmentation. So definitely you have different customer subgroups. So coming back to my pharmacy example, for example, at the beginning, in the pharmacy, we have very, I would say, older people, not old, but older people, and they love to go to the point of sales in person. They love to interact with people. And for example, in a TikTok brand, you have very young people. So we are talking about different segments, different people that will use this solution. So it's not just different from functionality. We also have to make sure that we know which kind of customer group with which digital level is meeting the tool in which situation. It's not that easy sometimes, but if we have this kind of structure at the beginning, we can make sure you will find good working tools for you. It's the same in the company. If someone is working in your company for 50 years, always made everything with handwriting, you can not say tomorrow this person will adopt every data intelligence. It will take some time. It will take some time for the people working in the company, but it will also take some time for your end customers to use that. So please keep both in mind. It is like the e-mobility thing. It is a journey. We will change customer behavior. We will change behavior of our colleagues on our own, and it needs time. It needs time, it needs understanding, and it needs measurable success. Because if you have a measurable effect, you will have a good feeling. If you have a good feeling, you will do something again, right? So this is why a lot of these kind of weight loss things work, because I go on my balance, I see a number. 2 weeks later, after my diet, I go again on the balance. I see a drop of my weight. I'm feeling good. I will continue. I see my weight is going up. Definitely, I will change my diet, right? So people are in the DNA very focused on measurable content and measurable things. So therefore, it's pretty important to adopt this trend also in these kind of AI things. So I would say that was a lot of input. So therefore, I would say I'm open for your questions now. If you have some, just put them in the chat, and I'm happy to answer them or go in a bit more detail for some of them. In other cases, here you also find my contact information. As I said, we are here to discuss with you how data and AI can be part of your strategy. I think that's the first step, the digital and AI-based strategy. And from there, you can find the fitting tools and make sure it will change your work over time. So there is a question, which AI do you use to know to who to speak? So LinkedIn offers a lot of tools itself. I will just go back here. A lot of tools itself. So for example, if you have the sales navigator, you cannot just meet new people, you could also split your target group. And on the other hand, it's most about the hashtags, honestly. The hashtag will filter which part of your community will see your posts. So I always thought if I'm using a lot of different hashtags, that's pretty good, but honestly, it's wrong. It's about 3 to 5 very specific hashtags to make sure that the right community part is seeing that. And I think honestly, the LinkedIn algorithm is changing so fast. So you always have to make sure to adopt. This is also a quality required for me that was not there 3, 5, 6, 7 months ago. I was just doing my posts, but now for LinkedIn it's super important having the right hashtags, having different formats, and also to reuse content honestly. Because now I have around 10,000 followers, but 4 months ago it was probably 9,000. So the new 1,000 followers, they didn't get the storyline from before, right? So you can reuse content. You have to make sure the community is coming to the same level time by time. So I don't want to do a LinkedIn workshop now, but this is what I learn on a daily basis from my AI tools. So, for example, ChatGPT is a great thing. Once a week, I'm asking ChatGPT, hey, what is new on LinkedIn? Show me other posts that worked out. Would you recommend me to do that and this? So, just use the sources we have today. So, you can definitely get a lot of information and know-how in a very short time, and all the big platforms have solutions on their own. If you don't know them, you can just ask ChatGPT which tools is LinkedIn using, and then you will get probably a very specific answer for that as well. Okay, so I think, and thanks for the feedback. I think that was the only question left here in the webinar chat. So Chanel, I don't know how to proceed.
There are a few questions in the Q&A chat if you want to check.
Oh, okay. I'm in the chat. I thought, I'm not sure if I missed something. But I think I answered all of them. But feel free to still put in new questions if you have some. We can continue this for some more minutes, of course. Probably here's one I haven't commented on. There is an ingredient replacement tool, so you can find healthier ingredients alternatives. You can use the link they shared here to definitely try it out. It's pretty interesting. As I said, ingredients are definitely one of the main trends, and people want to know that they have the filters and categories to definitely understand better what is good for me, what is not good for me, what is working. So when we see, for example, Amazon, we have these categories of others also bought. If we refer that to skin or hair, it's the same thing. We could say people with same skin did that. People with that hair did that. And this is how it changed over time. So people can also learn from each other if we are in a situation that we can use the data in our e-commerce system, right? People love numbers. People love to learn from others. And people always want to get inspired and to improve themselves. I think the self-improvement, if it comes to longevity, but also if it comes to staying like youthful and shiny and all these kind of things, improve that much that people are really, they want to learn and they also want to improve every single day. So self-care got on a new number. People are willing to spend more money and more time. So definitely make sure you can give them the most important thing. So we are all in this learning together. Please share where we can find your workshops. You can just visit IQONIC.AI. There you will find all the relevant information and just drop a message directly.
I think we've got a few more questions, so I'm going to ask a few that have sort of chipped over from the Q&A into the chat, if you can hear me. So a really good question about how do we mitigate privacy concerns around sharing sensitive business data with AI models? I know that's a concern for lots of people, and not really knowing where it all goes, where it lands, and who might have access to it in the future. I know a lot of people worry about that.
Yeah, privacy is always a huge thing. So there are two different situations we have to focus on. So whom is seeing the results? That's the first of all, right? So if you do the whole thing with your own, for example, smartphones, your own technology, some people are very less afraid because they think, okay, nobody else is seeing my phone. It's just an emotional trigger, but pretty important. So make sure you don't have these like big screens where everyone is seeing that. People want to have these things private. That's first of all very important for the UX. And second thing is we are not allowed to share everything from regulation perspective. So for example, if it comes to health issues, medical things like dermatitis or things like that, you are not allowed to talk about that. You can indicate, and you have to make sure you communicate that in a good way, but there are regulations to take care. In general, privacy, of course, make sure that you have that you know that the companies are not storing the data on their own. It's your data, it's your customers, so you are responsible for that and you are the owner of that. That's a very important point. So you can put your how to say, your structure or the relevant points for you as a brand also in that part. Companies like us, we are not allowed to store the data on our own, not just if you commit to do kind of research with us. In other cases, not. So therefore, this part is pretty clear and straightforward.
One more thing that I think, if you listen to a podcast, let's not name Stephen Bartlett, but he's constantly talking about the workplace and the impact of AI on the workplace. You know, things like, how do you make sure that all employees are kind of on the journey with you, like to ensure that people are up to speed, feel comfortable with trying AI, but also to make sure that AI, the use of AI, isn't kind of negatively impacting work culture? I mean, it's a big question. I don't know if that's something you're going to think of. Why did she ask me that? But, you know.
Yeah, the work culture thing is a huge topic, honestly. And you have to, I think the most important thing is keep the people with you from the very first moment. Make sure they really understand what's your plan. And then that is not about replacing people, it's changing the culture. But people need to understand that, right? You cannot, I mean, if you do a decision like that, you think about that probably for weeks or months, and then you just tell the people. So how can they know? They have to adopt, they have to think about, they have to learn about new requirements as well. So we have to put some time and effort into that. Second thing, I think if they see good results and if they see that this is improving what I'm doing, these kind of skepsis from the beginning is just flowing away. But you have to make sure the expectation is set in the right thing. So we are coming back to communication. I think communication to the end customer, but also to people working with you in the company on the project, it's pretty important. So you have to spend some time on that. Just like coming out with a new technology, a new tool will not help to let it work. So probably just one last example. We have some partners, for example, working in store with that tools, and then they were like, okay, our consultation, like consultating people in the stores, the people working there, they are not using the tool. Yes, because you haven't told them how and why. They just think, okay, I can do everything that the tool is doing. So you have to make sure they really understand that they are part of the project to drive these kind of things forward, right? So I think people, culture, time, and know-how sharing is pretty important. No matter how good the technology is, make sure customer and people know how to use that.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much, Maria-Liisa. I think we'll definitely welcome you back to our CW stage very soon. And there'll be so many other topics as things move very quickly. So thank you ever so much. And thank you everybody for joining. So next week, if you're eager to turn browsers into buyers and harness the power of sharper, more dynamic content on your e-commerce platforms, don't miss, we're having a breakfast, which is free to attend for CW members at the Soho Hotel next Wednesday, kindly hosted by the team from Flix Media, who will be offering actionable insights and proven strategies for measurable growth. The spaces are limited, they are filling up fast, so be sure to register ASAP. It's going to be a brilliant session. And hopefully we're going to help accelerate your beauty brands conversions together. So we hope to see you there. But thank you ever so much, Maria-Liisa. We love working with you, and thank you. And we'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye-bye.